Imagine there's a secret book so old and powerful that leaders from all over the world didn't want anyone to know what was inside. The Ethiopian Bible is more than just a storybook. It's a real document. This ancient Bible holds secrets that could shake up everything we think we know about history and religion. People in power were terrified of this book. They were so scared that they tried to ban it, hide it away, and make sure no one ever got to read its hidden stories. First, let's talk about where this mysterious Bible comes from. Ethiopia. This isn't just any country. Ethiopia is one of the oldest places on Earth, and some people even call it the birthplace of all humans. European powers were conquering many countries, but Ethiopia stood out. It stood tall and strong, never letting foreign rulers take over. The truth is, the additional stories in the Ethiopian Bible contain a wealth of mysteries that challenge the centuries-old beliefs of many people. Over the years, changes and editing have altered the Bible most people read today, omitting some of the most fascinating parts of history. Ethiopia has a unique place in African history. European powers colonized many African nations during the 19th century, but Ethiopia stood out as one of the few to maintain its independence. In 1896, Ethiopia defeated Italy at the famous Battle of Adwa, a victory that shocked the world. This victory wasn't just a military win, it was a statement of Ethiopia's strength and determination to hold on to its culture, religion, and way of life. But its resistance wasn't just on the battlefield. There was another, more subtle war going on, a war over ideas, beliefs, and the truth about its past. At the center of this struggle was the Ethiopian Bible, a version of the Bible that held stories and teachings that the rest of the world was determined to suppress. For Ethiopians, it is a symbol of identity and defiance. This Bible contains stories, beliefs, and truths that Western colonial powers wanted to erase. The colonial powers, particularly during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, did everything in their power to undermine Ethiopia's cultural and religious independence. European missionaries, especially from Catholic and Protestant traditions, viewed the Ethiopian Bible as a threat. They believed that its inclusion of books not found in the Western Bible, like the Book of Enoch and Jubilees, was heretical and dangerous. Missionaries argued that this Bible was inconsistent with mainstream Christian beliefs. They questioned its authenticity and proposed removing these texts from the Bible. But Ethiopians saw this differently. They saw these texts as an essential part of their spiritual and cultural identity. For them, it was a sacred treasure, and they weren't going to let anyone take it away. European colonialists wanted to dominate not just the land, but the minds and beliefs of the people. They saw this version of the Bible, with its unique blend of Christian and Jewish traditions, as a threat to their control. By banning the Bible, they could push their own versions of Christianity onto the Ethiopian people, stripping away Ethiopia's ancient beliefs and culture. During their occupation of Ethiopia, European powers, particularly the Italians, sought to ban the use of this Bible. They saw it as a symbol of resistance, something that could unite the Ethiopian people against foreign rule. By suppressing it, they hoped to weaken the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and the spiritual unity of the nation. But the Ethiopians refused to give in. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church continued to protect and use their Bible, even as European powers tried to replace it with their own. This was more than a religious fight, it was a fight for the soul of Ethiopia. Ethiopia's resistance to colonization and the preservation of its Bible represent something far greater than a simple religious story. It's about a people's fight to hold on to their identity in the face of foreign oppression. The Ethiopian Bible's ban wasn't solely due to its uniqueness. It also symbolized a history and truth beyond the control of outsiders. Through their Bible, Ethiopians held on to their rich heritage, their faith, and their truth. And despite the attempts to erase it, the Bible still stands today, a testament to Ethiopia's cultural resistance and strength. Colonial powers didn't just want to dominate the country physically, they wanted to shape what people believed in and how they saw the world. To do that, they needed to control Ethiopia's most important cultural and religious symbol, the Bible. In addition to taking over land, colonialism reshaped the people's identities. European powers during the 19th and 20th centuries wanted to control the minds of the populations they conquered. One of the most effective ways to do this was through religion. If they could replace local beliefs with their own version of Christianity, they could erase local cultures and make the people more obedient to foreign rule. The Bible was a source of spiritual strength for the Ethiopian people and a reminder of their unique history. Western Christian traditions had removed or rejected books from the Bible, but those extra texts told a very different story. Books seen as dangerous to the European colonial narrative were at the center of the controversy. The Ethiopian Bible featured texts such as the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, and the Wisdom of Solomon, which were absent from Western Bible versions. These extra texts carried ideas that didn't align with the European version of Christianity. These stories presented a challenge. If Ethiopians held on to these ancient teachings, they wouldn't easily accept the Western version of Christianity that missionaries and colonizers were trying to impose. This scared the European powers, as the Bible in Ethiopia was not just a religious text, but also a cultural weapon. It helped Ethiopians hold on to their traditions and resist foreign influence. European colonizers believed that by banning or discrediting the Ethiopian Bible, they could weaken the Ethiopian people's connection to their history and heritage. It wasn't just about changing what people believed, it was about taking away their identity and sense of pride. By suppressing the Bible, colonizers hoped to erase Ethiopia's link to its rich past and replace it with a new identity shaped by European values. Colonial powers, especially the Italians during their attempt to occupy Ethiopia in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, knew that to take control of the country, they needed to attack its culture. And the Ethiopian Bible was a big part of that culture. Italian forces, along with European missionaries, worked hard to discredit the Bible, labeling it as heretical or illegitimate. They claimed that Ethiopian canon texts were false and not Christian. This wasn't just about spreading Western religion, it was also a political move. If Ethiopians continued to rely on their own Bible, they would be less likely to accept European rulers and their influence. So Europeans used every tool at their disposal, missionaries, schools, and political pressure, to push their version of Christianity and suppress the Ethiopian texts. The attempt to suppress the Ethiopian Bible wasn't just about one book. It was part of a larger strategy to control Ethiopia's future by erasing its past. Colonial powers wanted to control how Ethiopians saw themselves. By banning their Bible, they could reshape their worldview, making them easier to rule and manipulate. But Ethiopians fought back. Their resistance wasn't just military, it was also cultural. They refused to let go of their history, their beliefs, and their Bible. Even when faced with powerful European forces, they held on to their faith, using the Ethiopian Bible as a symbol of their determination to remain independent and proud of their heritage. When King Ezana converted to Christianity, he set Ethiopia on a path that would make it a center of religious devotion for centuries to come. However, Ethiopia's interpretation of Christianity differed significantly from the European teachings. The Ethiopian Bible kept stories and teachings that the rest of the world chose to leave behind, and this made Ethiopia's Christian legacy incredibly unique. The Ethiopian Bible stands out because it includes many books that the rest of the world considers lost or forgotten. The Ethiopian Bible has 88 books, compared to the 66 books found in the Western Christian Bible. These additional texts, such as the Book of Enoch, Jubilees, and 1st and 2nd Maccabees, contain stories that paint a richer, more complex picture of ancient history. Take the Book of Enoch, for example. This text is believed to date back thousands of years and tells the story of Enoch, a figure who lived before the great flood of Noah. The book dives deep into mysterious and often unsettling topics like the fall of angels, the origin of demons, and the reasons for the flood that destroyed almost all life on earth. Many in power found these stories dangerous, given the centuries-long concealment of this kind of knowledge. The Solomonic dynasty, which claimed direct descent from King Solomon of Israel and the Queen of Sheba, also contributes to Ethiopia's religious legacy. According to Ethiopian tradition, their son, Menelik I, became the first emperor of Ethiopia, establishing a royal lineage that would last for centuries. This connection between Ethiopia and ancient Israel is more than just a legend. It's a foundational part of the country's identity and helps explain why the Ethiopian Orthodox Church developed in such a unique way. The Kebra Nagast, another ancient Ethiopian text that contributes to the country's rich literary heritage, records the stories of Solomon and Sheba and Menelik's journey. This text tells a version of biblical history that includes Ethiopia as a major player, not just a distant land on the fringes of the biblical world. Ethiopians deeply intertwine their history and religion, and their Bible reflects this blend of both spiritual and historical significance. Foreign missionaries brought Christianity to many parts of the world, but Ethiopia's version of the faith developed independently. It's an authentic expression of the country's deep spiritual roots, tied not to the Western world, but to its own ancient past. The Ethiopian Bible is a key part of that legacy, a symbol of Ethiopia's unbroken connection to its ancestors and its heritage. For centuries, there have been efforts to keep certain knowledge locked away, knowledge that could change everything you think you know about the world. This was not just about controlling land or resources. It was about controlling what people believed and about shaping history in a way that suited those in power. One of the most notable examples of suppression is the Ethiopian Bible. This ancient book contains stories and teachings that could unravel established beliefs, challenge authority, and change the course of religious understanding. But those in power wanted these truths to remain buried, and they would go to great lengths to make sure the world never learned what the Ethiopian Bible truly revealed. As European missionaries and colonial rulers spread their influence across Africa, they didn't just bring their military might, they also brought their religious beliefs. To control a nation's future, they needed to take control of its past, and one of the most effective ways to do that was by rewriting or erasing its spiritual heritage. Ethiopia was one of the few nations that successfully resisted colonization for centuries, but that didn't stop foreign powers from trying to undermine its culture. Missionaries from Europe, particularly in the 19th and early 20th centuries, began scrutinizing the Ethiopian Bible, and they didn't like what they found. European missionaries viewed the Ethiopian Bible, which contained books and stories absent from the European versions, as a potential threat. These European missionaries viewed the extra books in the Ethiopian Bible, such as the Book of Enoch and Jubilees, as heretical and dangerous. The problem wasn't just the content, it was the fact that these stories painted a version of history that didn't fit the narrative the Europeans were trying to spread. If people in Ethiopia and beyond had access to this knowledge, it could challenge the authority of the Western churches and weaken their influence. The fear was real. If the Ethiopian Bible were widely accepted, it would mean that the stories being told in Europe and across the world were incomplete. The European churches had already established which books were canon and which were not, dismissing anything outside their version of the Bible as false. But the Ethiopian Bible stood as evidence that history wasn't so clear-cut and that there were other versions of the truth. For centuries, knowledge has been a source of power. The more you know, the more control you have. That's why the European powers, and even some religious authorities, went to such great lengths to keep certain books out of the hands of the people. They couldn't risk losing control over the narrative. The extra stories in the Ethiopian Bible, which included detailed accounts of angels, demons, and the origins of humanity, were simply too dangerous to allow. The suppression of the Ethiopian Bible wasn't just an attack on a religious text, it was a battle over the control of knowledge. Western powers wanted to impose their own version of Christianity on Ethiopia, a version that excluded the texts and stories that the Ethiopian Bible had preserved for centuries. The more they could suppress these ancient books, the easier it would be to shape people's beliefs in a way that benefited their own agenda. But Ethiopia wasn't going to give up its traditions so easily. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church steadfastly adhered to its sacred texts, persisting in imparting and safeguarding the generations-old stories. Even in the face of pressure from European rulers and missionaries, Ethiopia's spiritual leaders refused to abandon the books that made up the Ethiopian Bible. This resistance became part of Ethiopia's long-standing fight to protect its cultural and religious identity. Despite the efforts to bury these stories, the Ethiopian Bible and its unique collection of texts still exist today. What the colonial powers and missionaries didn't understand was that knowledge, once shared, is nearly impossible to erase. The very act of trying to suppress the Bible gave it even more importance in the eyes of the Ethiopian people, and they fought harder to keep it alive. Not only is the Ethiopian Bible a relic of the past, but it also serves as a living testament to a unique perspective on history, challenging the conventional worldview. Unlike the standard Bible found in most churches, this ancient text has been carefully preserved by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church for thousands of years, offering a unique window into a time when the lines between history, religion, and power were drawn in ways most people have never been told. This Bible holds stories that are often left out of the Western version. These narratives delve into the beginnings of humanity, angels, demons, and even the destiny of vanished tribes. These texts, rejected by Western Christianity, offer a different perspective on the spiritual and historical world. If you're enjoying our journey of uncovering hidden truths and uncovering centuries-old stories, please consider supporting the channel by clicking the Super Thanks button below. Your support is helping us continue digging deeper, uncovering lost knowledge, and sharing eye-opening content with you. The suppression of the Ethiopian Bible fits a familiar pattern in the control of knowledge throughout history. From ancient rulers to modern governments, those in power have always tried to control the flow of information. They've banned books, erased records, and rewritten histories to suit their needs. However, as demonstrated by the Ethiopian Bible, the truth manages to infiltrate the system. In addition to religion, this Bible was banned to control how people view their past and place in the world. As we delve deeper into this ancient text, we come to understand the extent of its deliberate concealment from us, and the fact that these efforts have failed and that this Bible still exists today is a testament to the resilience of truth and the power of knowledge to survive even the most oppressive forces. What makes the story so powerful is not just the content of the book itself, but what it represents. It stands as a symbol of resistance to colonization, to foreign influence, and to the idea that one version of history is the only version worth knowing. It serves as a reminder of the manipulation and reclaimability of knowledge. The concealed narratives within its pages compel us to scrutinize the histories we've learned and the knowledge we unquestioningly embrace. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.